We're back with a Fox News alert. Ukrainians are desperately trying to escape the country amid Russian attacks. In the Ukraine city of Irpin, civilians are seen shielding themselves under a bridge to avoid the shelling. An estimated 1.5 million Ukrainians have left the country in the 10 days since the fighting began. This as Ukrainian President Zelensky met with United States senators just hours ago, pleading with them for increased military aid. Zelensky calling out President Biden, saying if Biden sanctioned Russia earlier, quote, there would be no war. Mike Tobin is live in Lviv, Ukraine. Mike, what you got for us?
Well, I can tell you this train that runs from the capital city of Kiev out here to Lviv has become a lifeline for a number of people, not just the people living in Kiev. A lot of people are making their way to the capital city, some of them going on foot, where they can get to the train station there in that combat zone and make their way. You don't need a ticket. The trains don't leave on schedule. People just get on board, and when the passenger cars are filled, the train comes out here to Lviv. The problem is there are only 4 trains a day leaving for the Polish border. Therefore, people are piling up. One city council member says there is not enough space to house people. There's not enough food to feed them. There is, however, a piano, and one of the refugees tried to bring some comfort to the other people fleeing for their safety. It's just about 1.4 million, as estimated by the UNHCR, the number of refugees who have crossed the border. It's expected to reach as high as 5 million before this is all over. The backup of cars at the border at one point was about 30 miles. Last check, it was down to about 10 miles, but you still have people abandoning their cars and going on foot. The crossing at the border there can take as long as 24 hours, and it's cold every night here, guys.
Mike, we report on different cities that are being shelled and attacked by Russian troops. They seem to be now all over the country. Is there a Russian military presence in Lviv?
There is not a Russian military presence in Lviv. You do see some of the Ukrainian forces here take up position. You see some people on guard. You see some roadblocks. But as far as the military activity, the air raid sirens go off just about every night here, and a couple of targets have been hit to the north and south of the country. There was also some military activity at an airstrip to the east of here, in which it appeared that, at least according to the mayor of Lviv, the Russians attempted to insert some paratroopers, and they were repelled by local fighters. There's also the possibility that the Russians came in, they did what they wanted to do, and got back on their helicopters and left.
Hey, Mike, it's Alicia. So we've been seeing these evacuations get interrupted by shelling, and then folks get turned around. But I'm just curious, they can't get to where they were trying to go to escape, but they also can they turn around? And if they do, where do they go? We've seen these images being sent to us from you guys, all the teams in Ukraine, of people hiding under bridges. And I'm just wondering, do they just find cover anywhere they can?
Well, the short answer is yes. The hiding under the bridge, that was in the town of Irpin, and people there thought they had a chance to make a break for it today. And as they were coming out, they were getting some help, but as they were coming out, the shelling started again, and they hid under that bridge. Incidentally, that bridge wasn't blown up by the Russians. It was blown up by the Ukrainians to prevent the Russians from getting in. But if you're also talking about towns like Mariupol to the southeast, there was supposed to be a ceasefire to provide a humanitarian corridor. That ceasefire was supposed to start at 9 a.m. local time. They gave it a little while to see if it would stick, but before these poor people could get out of their houses and start making a break for it, the shelling started up again, and they were told they had to get back in the shelters.
Oh, awful.
Yeah, Mike, Sean Duffy here. Obviously, we had a meeting today between Zelensky and senators and House members. Zelensky asked for a no-fly zone. It seems like that's going to be a no-go. But curious, he said, if not that, send me planes so my Ukrainian pilots can fly them. And I imagine he also wants drones and drone missiles. Are you picking up anything on your end about whether he's going to get planes and or more drones?
Well, it's up in the air now if he's going to get some of the planes from Poland or some of the other EU countries. He certainly wants them, but it's been made very clear that the NATO countries are not going to participate in enforcing a no-fly zone. And the U.S. position on that has been that if you have a no-fly zone, then you have to enforce it, and enforcing it would mean making contact with Russian pilots and the slippery slope down to a war of East versus West.
Mike, it's Dagan McDowell. I'll note Jennifer Griffin sent out a note about Poland can send those planes, MiGs and the like, older jets and aircraft into Ukraine. It rescinded its offer. But the United States doesn't hold those up. But there was a lawmaker on earlier who is with Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, in Poland, saying that Poland just wanted replacement aircraft from the United States before it would give up those MiGs and the like for Ukraine. So there's still a possibility that that aircraft goes into Ukraine. In terms of the humanitarian crisis, based on your reporting on the ground, is there plentiful food? Are there plentiful necessities for the people, even in the interior of the country? What is that like for the Ukrainian people?
Well, here in the West, it's not that bad. The people can get food. You have a disruption of life out here in the western part of the country. But when you're talking about cities like Kharkiv, when you're talking about Mariupol, they don't have water, they don't have heat, they don't have electricity. The civilian casualties are very severe. A lot of civilian structures have been hit. Frankly, we can't even give you totals of how many civilians have been injured or killed because there's too much chaos. But they do not have the basic necessities of life. Access to medicine would be a luxury that these people just don't have right now, as they are constantly under fire. And constantly under fire, partially because the Russians don't have control of these towns. There's nothing close to settled. The combat is not letting up, and it certainly won't until there's some kind of resolution there.
Mike, thanks for the update. Stay safe out there, and we'll come back to you tomorrow.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.